two times, tapping in the house at y'all again one time. So check it right. Uh, Maybe about 10 years ago, I got into the trucking industry. I started off as a driver, delivery driver, and I quickly got into management, right? Because the type of work I was doing, I was like, man, I gotta save my body, man. Like, you know what I mean? This shit kind of physical. So nonetheless, I get into the management position, and so now I got to hire drivers, I got to fire drivers, right? And there's this one driver who was just a constant um, in my life, and I don't mean like personally, but you know how some people you just always cross paths with throughout the years, right? So there's one driver I ended up hiring, and but let me tell you why I hired him, right? So of course, I mean he had the skills, he had the experience that was necessary, like that's for one, right? But two, when he came to the interview, I had remembered him from somewhere in my past, right? And I had asked him, man, so during the interview, like, we get through the interview, I was like, man, I'm like, you from the town by any chance? He like, yep, town and everywhere around it. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. I'm like, man, you look familiar, man. I was like, you ever been to Santa Rita? And he like, but mind you, he older than me. He like, man, I've been a lot of places, right? I was like, man, but I feel like I remember you from Santa Rita, man, when I was younger. It's like, it's possible. You know what I'm saying? So, long story short, I give him the job, right? But the reason I remember him, and it wasn't like, we wasn't like in a dorm or a unit or pod together, nothing like that, right? But it was like, I crossed paths with him at some point in my younger days, going to jail, right? And I just remember him being like a garbage disposal, right? And like, like when we talk about a garbage disposal of somebody in jail, like this a motherfucker who eat everything, and everything you ain't gonna eat, he want to eat it, right? So I just remember crossing paths with him. I think we might have been in court or something, and they hand out bag lunches and shit like that, right? And he answered me, you gonna eat that sandwich? You gonna drink that Kool-Aid? What you gonna do with that milk? Like whatever extras you got, like he wanted, right? A garbage disposal. So before you throw something away, you just throw it to him, right? He gonna take care of it and make it disappear, right? So I just vaguely remember that about him. I don't remember much else about him though, but you know what I mean? And at that point, right, mind you, when I'm in this position and I'm able to hire and fire, do all that type of stuff, like if you're from the town, or if I even if I get a little hint, right, that you come from a struggle and you're overcoming your struggle, right, I'm gonna hire you because I want you to keep going, right? It don't matter if you're older than me, younger than me, I'm gonna hire you because I want you to keep going, right? So nonetheless, hired a guy, right? He out there doing his thing, man. And at some point, we just started to notice, man, this dude never finished a route, right? And so mind you, he's still on probation. He never finished a route. So he like, all right, let's just monitor, see what's going on, right? So at some point, I end up going out with him, right? When I say going out, I didn't necessarily go out with him. He was out on the route. I popped up on him, right? Because we had to do these things like safety observation. So we had to go out and be out there anyway. So you would check on drivers while you would never let them know, because a lot of times you was just checking, right? For one, to see if they was working safely. And then two, like if you could give them any pointers. It wasn't like about reprimanding nobody. It was like, okay, let me just, while you in the job, doing the job, I could just train you up some, right? If I see you doing something, you know what I mean, that ain't good for you or good for the job, right? Nonetheless, I go out and, I see him at a store, so I pull over, we chopping it up, blah, blah, right? And I'm just noticing, like, he taking in, like, the minimum amount of cases per load when he taking it in on the dolly, right? So let's say, for instance, like, let's say you moving, like, a case of 20 ounces, right? And they come in a case of 24, right? On a dollar, you could probably stack up 8, right? Maybe 9. He might stack up about 4 or 5, right? And mind you, he ain't a small dude. You know what I mean? Solid. You know what I mean? Solid. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, damn, bro, even though he was a little shorter, right? Whatever the case may be, right? So I'm checking out his work ethic. Then when he get up in there, he talking a lot, right? He, you know what I mean? He chatty and shit. You know what I'm saying? So nonetheless, I'm peeping. I'm like, damn, man. Right? So I talked to him about it, blah, blah. So then the next time I get up with him, I actually ride with him like from start to finish. Like, I got to really see, like, was that just like that one spot, or is this his whole thing, right? And I always possess this gift of making people comfortable to where they'll just always be themselves, right? And sometimes they be themselves to the point, you know, I can't have you around, or I got to get away from you. But nonetheless, always, you know, it was just this gift I had, man. To this day, it's crazy. I don't know how I got it. I don't know how I do it. And then it's crazy because at some point, right, like, people will say things or do things because I made them that comfortable, right? And then it's like, yeah, that ain't cool. So, right, this even in my personal life, right? And then motherfuckers be wondering, like, why I get rid of them or why I don't fuck with them no more, because I just made you that comfortable to where you just said some shit that you know what I mean? Like, you know, that shit ain't cool. But anyway, as I digress, right? So he out and he really just doing his normal thing, right? Minimal cases, you know, extra conversations, just dragging his feet. And nonetheless, we get through the day and we don't finish all the stops, right? So we taking shit back, right? So I get with the other management team, like, oh man, you know, man, I don't think he gonna make it or whatever, right? And I explain to them what's going on, blah, blah, right? So they're like, oh, okay, well, he on probation, for one, and for two, this was a union job. So like, once you pass probation, it's just kind of hard to get rid of you for anything. You know what I'm saying? So if we would see something like in them early, that's why like them early probation times was like critical, because if we would see something, it's like, nah, we can't keep him around. That's gonna be a problem, and it's gonna fuck us up. You know what I'm saying? And so so nonetheless, we like, okay, we gotta let him go. So now I gotta fire him, right? So I don't know how I end up being the one, but every time somebody wanted to get fired, they're like, yo, Jay, you go take care of that, right? So I had to fire him. And mind you, like, when it comes to firing people, like, a lot of times people be thinking like, oh yeah, they enjoy that type of stuff. Like, bro, I had to fire so many people and had so many different experiences and reactions to people once they be fired. I started drinking. Like, literally, like, I'll be like, fuck, right? Because in that moment, you just changed the course of somebody's life, right? And I ain't like it. I ain't like it. I ain't want the responsibility. I ain't like it. At some point, well, as soon as I got off of work, I get home, I'm throwing back shots. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to forget this shit, right? But anyway, right? Nonetheless, I gotta fire him, right? So, you know, call him in, blah, blah, you know, let him know. And I'm like, man, unfortunately, you know, the company is decided to go in a different direction. And as far as our relationship go, blah, blah. And, you know, I slide him the piece of paper he got to sign with all the reasons of, you know, why we let him go. Right. Shit like that. Right. And he signed it. So he take the paper. He like, damn, for real? I'm like, yeah, man. He like, okay. So he take the paper, he sign it. He like, did my checks? I'm like, yeah, it's 2 of them for, you know. He like, man, hell yeah, man, right on, right? So like, he get juice. I'm like, wait. This ain't how this supposed to go, man. You know what I mean? This supposed to be sad. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to be upset. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause like sometimes motherfuckers, they get sad. They plead like, come on, man, give me one more chance. Some people get aggressive. You know what I mean? Like, some motherfuckers just get quiet and mad, and you can just see like, man, you know what I'm saying? Right? So So whenever we would fire somebody or let somebody go, terminate, whatever you want to use, right? We would have to walk them right out, right? We have to walk them right out. But he like, hey, man, can I go say bye to can I go say bye to everybody? I'm like, what you mean? Like, you don't? He like, nah, man, let me go tell people I'm out, right? So I'm like, all right, cool, fuck it. So we go into the warehouse because he didn't make buddy, because like he that kind of dude, right? Like I say, he's super chatty, right? He always chopping up with everybody. He get familiar with everybody real fast, blah, blah, right? So he goes around and he's slapping files, motherfucker. All right, y'all, I'm out. All right, I'm out, man. Whoa, man, nice, man, you know, pleasure meeting you. Nice working with you, man. I'm out, blah, blah, blah. Whoop, whoop, right? So he like, all right, man, good. So he come back to me like, man, all right, good looking, bro. I'm gonna holler at you. I'm like, shit, all right, right? Like, so I never see the dude again, right? Never see the dude again. But it was funny because, right, back to me remembering him from crossing paths somewhere in jail or some shit like that, right? When he got fired, he was acting like he was getting out of jail. You know how niggas go, all right, blood, I'm gonna holler at you, all right, bro, you know what I mean? I'm gonna get up with you, bro, I'm gonna see you around, right? So he doing all that shit. After he get fired, he wanted to go say peace out to everybody, like he was just locked up or something, right? So, nonetheless, man, he gets up out of there, and I don't see him, right? Don't see him, man. I don't see this dude, you know, a few years go by, right? Still don't see him. And that's why I say, like, somebody who just like you know, sometimes motherfucker be a constant in your life, but it don't really be like y'all got a relationship, but you just always seeing this person, always seeing them at some point in life, right? You just keep cross paths with them. So here we are years later, right? Years later. I'm no longer there, right? I got up out of management, you know what I mean, at some point after about, when I say years, like, man, this may about 6 years or something like that. I was in management for some years. I was like, nah, I'm out of there, man. I'm going back to driving, man. Like, I'm tired of dealing with people, right? The babysitting, all that shit, and again, right? Having influence on other people's well-being, right? You know, like hiring, firing, all that type of shit. Like, I don't want to be doing that type of stuff, man, right? So I get back to driving. So now when I get back to driving, I'm for another company. This years later, I'm driving again. And one day I'm pulling into the yard and I see him like walking across the crosswalk. All right, what the fuck he doing here? Like, I know we don't. So I see him walking. I'm like, huh. Now, mind you, I remember him from having a bad work ethic, right? So I'm like, here he go again, right? He ain't gonna make it here. You know what I'm saying? He ain't gonna make it here. But nonetheless, right? Because where we at, this I'm talking about this shit official, right? Like, if you a driver, like, this shit official. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the kind of place you want to be, right? So nonetheless, he gets hired, right? He gets hired at some point. But when from the initial time where I seen him to the next time, it was like a couple months. So I guess it was like a waiting period from the time he did his interview to the time they actually onboarded him, right? It's probably like a couple months, right? So in those couple months, I'm like, oh, okay, he must didn't make it. But they was just lagging with onboarding. Usually onboarding might take like a month from the time you do your interview, they offer you the job. You might start like a month out, 3 weeks out, something like that, right? Especially if you got like another job or some other stuff, you know, you might put it out for about a month, right? But it was like a couple months. I ain't see the dude. So I'm like, okay, he must didn't make it. And but nonetheless, I end up bumping into him in the not like the office, but like the break area, right? Ryan Patterson and we, oh bro, I'll see you over there. Oh man, what's up, man? We keeping it moving, right? So one day I'm up in there and like we not really in motion because I'm sitting down, he come in, he getting some coffee or something. He like, man, bro, thank you. I'm like, huh? Because mind you, when I see him, I'm like, oh man, this is fucking right. He like, man, thank you, man. I'm like, what? He like, man, thank you for firing me. I'm like, okay, right. I'm thinking he bullshitting, like he joking, he trying to, pull my leg, let me know that he ain't forgot, you know what I mean, all them years ago, I fired him, you know what I'm saying, and how he feel about it. This is what I'm thinking, right? But he really saying, he like, man, good looking, man, like, man, then he tells me after that what he ends up getting into, right? He like, yeah, man, he went over to work for Yellow, right, before they folded, you know what I'm saying, and, he was able to get his money up over there, did what he had to do, right? And before he came over where we was at, he was like, yeah, man, I stacked up so much money, man. I was, I took like 6 months off, man. I ain't even have to work. I had so much money stacked up, blah, blah, right? So he like, good looking, whatever, right? So the other day, I comes in, but now, mind you, all this time, it's probably been like a couple years been passed already. Like, we chop it up, you know what I mean? We see each other chop it like it ain't really nothing, but he be telling me like, nah, bro, like, and I'm like, damn, you ain't gonna never let me forget that shit, right? So the other day, we get into the office, right? And I walk into the office to do something. He's in there, right? And, right, he's in there, and this other manager's in there where we work at, right? I'm not a manager. I'm just a regular driver now. I'm not a manager, a regular driver, right? So we both drivers now, right? We here and here, right? So he tells everybody, he's like, man, he's like, this is my favorite dude right here. I'm like, come on, man, come on, man, don't do that, right? So he gets my favorite dude. I walk up to a South 5 and he go in like, little brotherly hug and shit like that. He's like, man, it's my favorite dude, man. Like, and then he goes in and tell them why. He was like, man, he fired me from somewhere I shouldn't even been in the first place, right? He was like, man, I always appreciate it. I'm like, damn, bro, you ain't gonna never let me forget it. He's like, nah, because I appreciate you for firing me, right? He like, shit, I probably would have still been there. You know what I mean? And mind you, the place where we was at as far as drivers go, they was getting, man, this had to be like the industry minimum that they was getting paid. You know what I'm saying? Industry minimum that these drivers getting paid compared to any other driver doing any other kind of work, the minimum, right? So, and he really like showing appreciation for being fired, right? And now, mind you, when I seen him, I was like, ah, shit, man, like, he gonna remember I fired, like, I'm thinking he tripping, right? Like, on the low, like, he tripping, right? And so I really think he had been pulling my leg until one day, man, he, it was like the holiday time, man, and he got me a gift, bro. Hold on, man. I declined that. In real life, like, he got me a gift, and he was like, I know you think I be bullshitting, bro, but nah, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you, for one, giving me the opportunity, right? Appreciate you giving me the opportunity and then firing me, because it lit me to where I was like, I got to go make something happen. And he ended up somewhere better, making way more money, right? Doing the kind of work that he enjoyed. You know what I'm saying? And, I sat with that for a minute, man. I really had to think like, damn, right? Like sometimes the difference between a negative experience and a positive experience is simply your perception of what happened, right? It's just, sometimes it just boils down to perception. You know what I mean? Sometimes you think something good didn't happen and it turned out bad for you in the long run. Some you think bad didn't happen for you and it turned out good for you in the long run. It's just all based on how you look at things, right? And he chose to look at me firing him as a positive, to the point that he still, to this day, he still showed me appreciation and say thank you, right? And mind you, he older than me. You know what I'm saying? We crossed paths 20 years ago in my youth. I'm pretty sure he must, because he maybe 10, 15 years older than me. But we crossed paths in my youth. I was in my early 20s. You know what I mean? And years later, this person who I seen, the garbage disposal, right? Me giving him an opportunity, firing him, turned around, him showing me more appreciation to people who I thought I actually did good for, right? When I say I thought I did good for, people you give money to, people you go out your way for, people you didn't get a place to live, right? And I fired this dude all sakes and purposes, for the way that anybody else would look at it, I put him in a bad position. And he give me way more appreciation than the people who I put in good positions. Right? And so what's good and what's bad is just all about perception and the way that the person perceives it. You know what I mean? And that's just how you got to go through life, right? Like, not everything gonna go your way when you want it to go your way or how you want it to go. Shit might go your way and it might not even look like the way that you want it to go, right? But it's actually going your way. And it's just all about how you perceive it, man. So as you're going through life, you know, and things is happening, right? Always, at least this is what I try to do now, right? In my later years, always try to look at the brighter side of things, right? Even if you look back in your life, right? It was some situations that you got out of, you know what I mean? Or some situations that you got into and you was like, damn, man, well, you know, I got busted for this, but I got away with that, right? And that I got away with is way worse than this that I got busted for. So hell, man, you know what I mean? I think I did all right, man. But yeah, man, just, you know, perception, man. Always try to look on the brighter side of things, man, because in every situation, right, good or bad, whatever, it's something they call a silver lining. And that silver lining is that bright little streak in whatever dark place that you in or that you think you in, right? It's always that silver lining, man. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just wanted to drop that up on y'all, man. Take it for what it is. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna holler at y'all in a minute.